Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Business Matters. We're happy you could join us once again. Today, we'll be looking at the Principles of Accounts CSEC Paper 1 for 2022. Please join us as we go through them. Question 1. The main internal users of accounting information are, and from the alternatives that are given, we're seeing that A is the most appropriate response. All right, so the question is asking the main, and notice they have highlighted it, the main internal users of accounting information would be managers. Managers will be interfacing with the accounting information to make daily decisions as to the operation of the business. So A is the most appropriate answer. Question 2. A businessman offers a discount for prompt payment for goods purchased under which column in the 3-column cash book would this discount be entered? And the answer is C. Yes, discount allowed. The question is why? Because it is indicating here that the discount, we are giving the discount. And because we are giving the discount, it would be discount allowed. Question 3. Which of the following best describes the double entry system of accounting? Which of the following best describes the double entry system of accounting? The answer is D. Each transaction must have a debit entry and a credit entry. Each transaction must have a debit entry and a credit entry. So from the options we have received, D would be the most appropriate answer. Question 4. During the year, a company bought stationery for $220 and used $120 worth of it. What figure would be posted in the income statement to represent the expenditure for stationery? Well, based on the question, how much did we buy? How much stationery did we buy? Yes, what's the value of the stationery that we have purchased? And if the answer is 220. So if we bought the stationery that cost 220, the total is an expense to us. It's not how much we have used, but rather how much we had spent to buy the stationery. Therefore, the appropriate answer would be C. Question 5. Which of the following list of activities shows the correct order of the stages in the accounting cycle before final accounts? Upon examining the alternatives that have been given or the options that have been given, yes, C is the most appropriate answer. Why? We use the books of original entry or the journalizing first, then we transfer the information to the ledger, and from the ledger to the trial balance. So C would be the most appropriate answer. Question 6. Which of the following list of current assets are arranged in order of liquidity? Which of the following list of current assets are arranged in the order of liquidity? All right, let us examine A, B, C, D. Well, let us now see. Well, B seems to be the most appropriate answer. B. Why? It starts from cash. Cash is the most liquid. And when we are arranging assets in order of liquidity, it means that we are recording the asset that is easiest to be used by the business. So, B would be the right answer. So you have cash, then bank, then prepayment, then accounts receivable. Let us now go to question 7. Item 7 refers to the following balances that appears in the ledger of Mrs. G. Dalton. Now they're asking us to find what is the total of the trial balance. So what are we going to do? We will be adding all of those assets and that we have, assets and expenses that we have, and that is would come on the debit side of the trial balance, and then all the income and liability that would be on the credit side of the trial balance. Therefore, we'll be adding machine, inventory, and purchases together, all three. And of course, the answer is 800. The total will be 800, so the answer will be D. So the appropriate answer for question 7 will be D. Question 8. Item 8 refers to the following information. Item 8 refers to the following information. And the situation is on the 1st of January 2021, 10,000 was paid towards an advertising campaign. Of this amount, 7,000 was used by the 31st of December 2001. Now the question is, what was the amount prepaid for the advertising at the end of the year? Now let's go back to the situation. How much did we pay? We paid 10,000. Yes? How much of that 10,000 have we used up? 7,000. So we subtract the 7,000 from the 10,000, and the difference is 3. So we would have paid 3,000 more than we should have paid for the year, and therefore the answer will be A. Yes, 3,000. Question 9. Item 9 refers to the following balances at the end of a financial period. So the question they have asked us is, what is the total amount for the assets? What is the total amount for the assets? Okay, what should we do? Identify all the assets that are in the question, add their total, and we will get the answer. What are the assets that we have in the question? Motor vehicle, that will be one. Receivables, that's another one. And building. So these three figures will be added together, and therefore the answer would be 14,000. That is C, 14,000. So answer for question 9 would be C, 14,000. All right. Question 10. A businessman bought a new computer for $6,000. He paid $4,000 in cash and traded he in his old computer. What is the entry to be recorded in this transaction? All right, so let's interpret the question. Basically, what is happening here is we are buying a new computer for the cost of $6,000. We only have cash of $4,000, and we are trading in the old computer. And we're trading it, then we are assuming that the value of the old computer will be $2,000. So we are receiving the new computer, so we must debit that account. So new computer must be debited of $10,000. Where is that? And $6,000 rather. The new computer must be debited with $6,000. All right, so D will be the most appropriate answer. We debit new computer with $6,000, and we credit old computer for $2,000, and they credit the cash for $4,000. That would be the appropriate response. Question 11. Item 11 refers to the following table, which shows the summarized position of Foster and Scott Limited at 6th of March 2021. What is the question they're asking us? What was the capital for Foster, yes, and Scott Limited at the 6th of March 2021? Now we want to know what is the capital. we're going to use the accounting equation to determine that. What is the accounting equation? Asset, yes, it's equal to capital plus liability. Yes? So in this case, we want to find the capital. So we'll subtract the liabilities from the asset to give us a capital. What would be the assets we have here? The non-current asset and the current asset. So we'll add those, we'll get 3,000. Yes? And then we are going to add the non-current liability and the current liability. And when we get that total, we'll subtract, yes, the total liability from the total assets to give us a capital. All right? And so the answer would be B, 90,000. Okay? Question 12. Credit notes issued for goods returned by a customer would be first entered in the, all right, that's a question. So when we receive the credit note is a source document. And when we receive source document, they are used to record into the books of original entry. So we're looking to the options to see which book of original entry we would need to use. And the answer would be A, return in what book? All right, so A would be the most appropriate answer. Let's go to question 13. Question 13 says, in order to avoid writing numerous checks for small amounts, a firm may set up and the best answer would be B, a petty cash. So in order to avoid writing up numerous checks for small amounts, well, the business will use a petty cash fund. So B will be the most appropriate answer. Question 14. The asset test ratio indicates, and the answer is B. The answer is, what did I say? B. Current asset to pay current liability. What we're trying to do is to determine how much we have in. Yes, so it is current asset to pay current liability. So the answer is B, the most appropriate answer. Let's go to 15. Which of the following accounts is not nominal? Which of the following accounts is not a nominal account? And the answer would be A. Why? Because furniture is a fixed asset. Okay, we're now at question 16. Item 16 refers to the following information, and they have given us a bank account. Now, the question they ask is, what is the closing balance of the bank account? What is the closing balance of the bank account? So what are we going to do? We're going to add the total on the debit column, in the debit column, which amounts to 22,000. Subtract it from the total on the credit side, which is 15,000. And when we subtract the 15,000 from the 22,000, then our answer will be D, 7,000. Right? Our answer will be D, 7,000. Okay, so the balance BD would be 7,000. Question 17. R. Stevens, a petty cashier, receive a float of $350. He spends $320 and requests that his float be increased to $400. If his request is granted, how much will be received? Now, first of all, in interpreting this question, whatever is spent in the petty cash is what is returned. So you would have spent 320, but they are pushing the petty cash float from 350 to 400, so they are going to give an additional of $50. So you add that additional $50, that will come up to 400. That $50 will be added to the 320, and that's the amount of money will be added, which is C, yes, 370. Question 18. Item 18 refers to the following table. As we examine the table, the question says, what is the total provision for doubtful debt? Now, in this question, what you're required to do is, and they're using what is called the aging method for provision for doubtful debt. They're using the aging method. So we'll find 3% of the 6,000, 2% of the 4,000, 1% of the 8,000, and we add all of what we got, we are going to add it together, and that will give us the total. So our answer is B, 340. So when you add all that you have calculated, it will be 340. So it is B. Question 19. Which of the following items in a statement of financial position would differ most in presentation when comparing the books of a company and the books of a sole trader? The answer is D, capital. Why? Because in companies, capital is subdivided in their various groups. Like, for example, ordinary shares and preference shares, right? Issued shares. So D would be the most appropriate answer. The balance sheet will carry the capital different from the sole trader. Question 20. Question 20. Mr. Ram, a shoemaker, bought a motor van for 11,000 cash. In recording his transaction, he should, and if he's buying the motor van, so we're receiving the motor van, accounts received with debit, so we should debit motor van and credit the cash. We're spending cash. So the answer would be what now? A. A is the appropriate answer. Debit motor van account and credit the cash account. So now we're at question 21. Question 21 says, in Mrs. Lowe's ledger, an entry on the debit side of the drawings account and an entry on the credit side of the bank account means that, and our answer is D. Mrs. Lowe uses money from the business bank account, yes, for her personal use. Once we're talking about joins here, he's referring to joins is where you take things from the business for your personal use. So answer would be D. 22. The ABC company received a check from Mr. Murray for $300. How must this transaction be recorded in ABC's books? All right. The answer for question 22 will be C. Right? Why is C? C is 2 and 3. 2 is that we are crediting Murray's account because he's paying us. And we are receiving it by check, so we're going to debit it, the bank account. All right? All right, so we're at 23. An asset purchased for $1,000 is depreciated at a rate of 10% per annum using the reducing balance method. What is the book value of the asset at the beginning of the third year? Now, we want to find what is the book value of the asset at the beginning of the third year. All right, so the answer would be B, $810. Question is, how do we get that? Well, the first thing we're going to do, we're doing reducing balance method. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to find 10% of the 1,000. And 10% of 1,000 will give us a depreciation of 100. We subtract the depreciation, which is 100, from the 1,000, and we're going to get 900. Then we'll find 10% of the 900. 10% of the 900 will be $90. We subtract the $90 from the 900, and that will give us the book values to start the third year, which is $810. Answer is B. Next question. Question 24. Item 24 refers to the following information. The calculation to determine gross profit percentage is as follows. And they have given us the worked formula, and they ask us, what does the 529,800 represent? And the answer most appropriate here would be A, total sales. Why? Because the formula to find cost of goods sold, you can use the process of gross profit over the sales times 100 over 1. So the appropriate response here is total sales. Gross profit over the sales times 100 over 1. So it is total sales. All right, so we are now at question 25. Question 25 refers to the following information, and it says a public limited company issued a prospectus offering the shares described in the following table for sale at par value. They are asking us to find they say the issue was fully subscribed. How much capital did the business raise? What we're expected to do is to multiply the 200,000 times the $2 and the 10,000 times the $5. And the answer you will get is D, $450. Question 26. In preparing its final accounts, a business omits return inwards. Which of the following items would be affected by the omission? Most certainly, it will affect your net sales, because you subtract return inwards from sales to give you net sales. So net sale will be affected and profit will be affected. So 1 and 3. 1 and 3 then would be what now? B. So B would be the most appropriate answer. Question 27. Question 27 says a business receives $5,000 for rent. Yes, and deposit this amount into its bank account. How will this transaction be received? Will be recorded rather. How would it be recorded? The answer is A. A, we're debiting bank account and credit rent. Remember now, it is rent received, so it's an income. We're going to credit it, and we're receiving the money in form of check. All right, we're putting it in the bank, so the bank is receiving, so we debit the bank account. All right, so it's A. Item 28 refers to the following information. Mrs. Allen invested $220,000 and Mrs. Brown and Mr. Capel invested $5,000 each into the same business. The loss sustained during the year was $1,000. The partnership agreement is silent on the item of losses, although profits are to be split in the ratio of 2 to 2 to 1 in favor of Allen, Brown, and Cable, respectively. Now, what we need to do is that the ratio that we have, we're going to use it because it is in the same, we're using it in relation to profit and losses. So we're using the same ratio. Now, it is 2 to 2 to 1. Therefore, we are going to want to find Capel, so it is 1/5. We'll find 1/5 of the $1,000, and 1/5 is B, $200. So the answer is $200. Question 29. Depreciation in accounting terms can be defined as that's question 29, and the answer would be C, the cost of using non-current asset for an accounting period. So C is the most appropriate answer. Let's go to question 30. Question 30 says, it says here that item 30 refers to the following information, and they gave us all this information in relation to the what we say now, the manufacturing account. So what is the production cost of goods manufactured? Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to simply add all of the items that are presented, because they will come in the manufacturing account, except rent and taxes. There is nothing that indicated in the question that rent and taxes is in relation to the factory. So we are going to add everything together except rent and taxes, right? Question 30. And therefore the answer will be C. C will be appropriate answer, which is 39,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first half of our presentation on the CSEC past paper 1 for 2022. See me on the other side. We'll go through the other 30 questions.